Welcome, Pisces, to your monthly horoscope for December for the Sun or the Ascendant. If you've yet to subscribe to my channel, I'd be honoured if you did so now. Please click or tap on the bell notification symbol. This month begins with the Sun and initially your co-ruler Jupiter in the most prominent part of your scope, the 10th house, suggesting that for the first 3 weeks of December, there may still be some professional and worldly interactions that you do need to focus upon. But there's also a growing energy in your situation, which is so exciting. It comes through the guise initially of Venus. Venus, the planet of love and attraction, is in your sector of friendship, of fraternity, of your connection socially to others. So whilst there may be some responsibilities to attend to, there's Venus encouraging you to also have some fun. But Venus is alongside Ceres, the asteroid of nurture, as December unfolds. And of course they're joined by the joyous energies of Jupiter on the 3rd, which moves for 54 weeks into the sign of Capricorn. Now, Jupiter moving into this area is going to provide some wonderful changes of the mood music, because Saturn, the planet of structure, but also of discipline and restriction, has been in your sector of your long-term future, around the things that you hold dear in terms of your ideals, also around your social situation and your friendships. All of these areas may have felt under quite a lot of pressure over the last 6 or 7 months as Saturn has inched closer to Pluto. Pluto, of course, has been in this area since 2008 and been asking you some big questions about where you want to head in your life, and you may have made some major changes in the interim. But Saturn over the last couple of years has been scrutinising those changes in a much bigger way. And then, as I say, over the last 6 or 7 months, in a much more potent way. Now, by the end of this month, Saturn and Pluto are even closer together. So it's asking you to really make some key decisions, but you are going to have some choices. And I think Jupiter joining up with Venus and Ceres is really going to lighten things. You're going to see that there are people that you can link with. And maybe some people have gone from your world, and that's been a painful process. Or perhaps your own direction has altered. Perhaps the things that used to switch you on have lost their appeal. But you're going to be galvanised in a much more upbeat, lively and fun way this month. And also Mercury, the planet of communication, and Mars, the planet of drive, start this month in a part of your situation which is to do with expansion, adventure, travel. And I think it really wouldn't be a surprise if you spent part of your Christmas or New Year holidays in a completely different location. But right back at the start of the month, with the Sun in the sign of Sagittarius, there may be those more worldly pressures that you're thinking of. And then on the 4th, there is a quarter moon. But this is going to be squaring up, not just with the moon in your sign, that is also going to be alongside Neptune, your co-ruler. This creates a very fluid, but also potentially very draining and dreamy vibration. And if you are trying to push forwards around a key goal or ambition, you could find your energy drops and it's hard to keep the same level of motivation. What you can do is make sure that any goals you have or any worldly aims are as realistic as possible. So don't go against your instincts, listen to your inner voice, and most of all, don't go against your sensitivities. Because although you could push to make it to the boardroom, so to speak, if it's something you're not going to enjoy or it's not going to feed your soul, maybe it's time to throttle back about work a little bit and think about ways in which you can mix, interact with others, develop new interests, and make life more in balance. You can be one of the most dutiful members of the Zodiac, but sometimes push yourself far too hard to the point that it becomes something of a resentment for you. And of course, Mercury has been tracking backwards. It began on the 31st of October. It ended on the 19th of November. It went forwards on the 20th in the sign of Scorpio of November. And as you come into this month, it's still emerging from shadow. It then, on the 7th, comes into the light, gets back to the point where the retrograde began, 27 degrees in Scorpio. I think for you, if you have been processing something to do with a contract, thinking about being much more free-spirited, much more independent, travel, higher education, anything to do with a legal matter, all these may have been under review with this Mercury retrograde. Things can really start to ease now. And then on the 9th, Mercury moves to the top of your horoscope to support, yes, the Sun. Now the Sun's gone through that bit of a sluggish spell with that quarter moon and also the square with Neptune. Mercury brings some much needed clarity. But also Mercury is in detriment in the sign of Sagittarius. This isn't as bad as some may think. It's just asking you to stay clear-headed about what you want to achieve and in any discussions you have with influential people. But equally, from the 6th through to the 10th, Venus, the planet which is exalted in your sign, forges a beautiful link with Neptune. You could find yourself having some kind of exchange with someone that really lifts your heart. This can be quite a spiritual connection. It could be romantic. If it is, just remember to keep one foot on terra firma if it's someone completely new to your orbit. But also from the 7th through to the 18th, Neptune's forging a fantastic angle to Mars. So if you are travelling during that time, your ability to soak up and absorb the environment is going to be wondrous. But then, if you find yourself at your local movie centre, that too can be a great way to shift out of the reality of life and really uplift your sense of appreciation of the arts, whether it's through film, whether it's through seeing a band, going to see a show. All these things can be very, very pleasing and pleasurable for you. Now the 12th does see a full moon in the sign of Gemini, which is tender for you. It's about your home, emotions and family. So it's saying to you, if you're pushing forwards with such determination towards that prize, how much time are you giving yourself or others in terms of the foundations of your existence? So some kind of realignment may be needed. Not easy at this time of the year when so many of us are spinning so many plates. However, it is the case that Mars starts to then forge a fantastic angle with those big two power brokers of Saturn and Pluto. And from the 16th through to the 24th, something structurally can start to change in your world. Your thinking can become more outgoing, but you can start to see how you're rebuilding something that may have broken down over the last year or so. New people can come in, new ways of looking at things. You can be more outgoing. It can be a much more gratifying time for you. It is true, however, that on the 20th, Venus moves into a very gentle and beguiling part of your situation, your 12th house, which is rather like the energy of your own sign. It's reflective, it's shimmering, it's moving, it looks at things in different ways. It could see you very nostalgic for someone from your past. It could even see a reunion. It could see you feeling quite sad if a relationship did come to a close. It could see you thinking about a relationship you're in now in a bit more of a critical light, especially if you feel a partner is not attuned to the most sensitive part of your nature. Now the Sun's going to be moving on the 22nd, but that's a good news story because it joins up with Jupiter and also Ceres. But then Venus goes into a right angle with Uranus. the planet of surprises and freedom, which is in the part of your scope to do with everyday communications. Are you about to hear from an old flame? Is it you who's going to send a late Christmas card to someone? Is it you who's going to be a bit more daring about a romantic target you have and push outside of your comfort zone? It could create some real excitement and also a surprise. For some Pisces people, there's going to be a clinch with a mysterious person under that mistletoe. This is a fact. However, as this year draws to a close, the solar eclipse of the 26th is going to supercharge your desire to better your lot in 2020. It's augmented by the move of Mercury on the 29th into Capricorn 2, and also the Sun meeting with Jupiter. You can end this year feeling a lot more optimistic than you have for some while, Pisces. Perhaps there has been some letting go, perhaps there have been separations, perhaps there have been sadnesses about some of the people who used to be at the heart of your world. But there's a sense of renewal, of things changing. Yes, some of your longer term hopes may still not be quite clear. It will all come to a peak on the 12th of January when we have the big stellium in Capricorn, but also by the 18th of February. And as we're moving into your birthday, that is when Saturn starts to inch away from Pluto. And the strain that's been on all of us in different ways over the last 6 or 7 months particularly, it will be around about 11 months by then, that is going to start to ease. And Jupiter will be working its magic. It's true, it is technically in full in the sign of Capricorn. And there could be some realignments in terms of the financial markets, in terms of international affairs, which Jupiter rules. But it's also about justice and philosophy. And if you can orientate yourself towards the people who share your vision of how you'd like life to be, whether it's around your politics, around your approach to the environment, around your approach to your social situation, your interests, your sports team, that's where you are going to find the most uplift. And you can be uplifted as this year comes to a close. There is the North Node, the point of destiny in Cancer, which is brilliant for you, and that is in opposition to Jupiter and the Sun as this year closes, but that can just give you greater confidence to socialize. But there's just one rather interesting detail, and that is that Venus, of course, is in a much more sheltered location, and the midpoint between the Sun in Capricorn and the Moon, as this year comes to a close, the Moon, I have to say, on Christmas Day, is in Sagittarius, so your feelings could be a little closer to the surface, is in Aquarius, and it's conjunct that Venus. So that part of you which has greater depth, that much more sentimental, kindly, emotional part of you, there's that other part of you that can convince yourself when you swim upstream that you're the cold fish at the bottom of the river who will deny yourself that more sensitive emotions that you're so well known for. Well, I think that conjunction between Venus and your midpoint is saying to you, don't lose your humanity. However much anyone has hurt or disappointed you, as you come to the end of this year, the more you can raise your spirit to a higher vibration of person kind, of care, letting go of sadness, really embracing the people, either figuratively or literally, who really matter to you. This can be a sensational end to your year. If you'd like to know what 2020 will hold for you on an individual basis beyond your zodiac sign or ascendant, based on your time, date and place of birth, please see the link beneath this video. You can order your year ahead forecast and get 30% off and get the rest of 2019 free. But I'd like to also say a very personal thank you for all your watchers over the last year, whether you've recently joined with me or you've been more a long-standing subscriber. It means a lot. I've been through a very difficult time myself over the last 3 or 4 years with family loss and also ill health. And now I have been very lucky to be in so much fortune in meeting my wife, a glorious person. But life can be very tough at times, and I've been there. And I'd like to sincerely thank you, but also genuinely wish you a very happy Christmas and New Year. Good luck and goodbye.